You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome.
Hello, this is Sue Fulmer. I'm a practitioner in training at the Center for Spiritual Living, St. George. I'm fortunate to lead the meditation today. Our theme this week is the winds of change. For this meditation, I want to use an original poem called I Can Hear the Air Move. First, take a couple of deep, relaxing breaths. Imagine yourself sitting in a comfortable reclining chair in a quiet outdoor setting near a pool of water, surrounded by palms, and in the distance, a stand of lush evergreens and tall leafy trees. As I pause, allow yourself to slip into deep meditative relaxation. Can you hear the air move? Not a howl or a whistle, just a quiet whoosh. It moves through the trees in the distance, then comes to slowly bend the fronds on the palm by the pond. I can hear the air move, stronger at first, like the waves in the surf, flowing as it meets the sand. The moving air comes in a gust, then softens as it spreads out and lightly touches as it passes. I can feel the air move as a refreshing, soft kiss lightly on my skin. Who is blowing that kiss? Who is breathing through the trees? Who provides this fresh inhale and brushing wave of cool passing by? I hear you and I thank you. It is time to come back. Give gratitude for what you've seen and felt in this experience today. And move your body gently to awaken your focus for today's service. Winds of change are always moving ever so gently in the breeze or with powerful force taking us along. Sister Rebecca Shinus of the San Jose Mission wrote, "Things are forever changing, and I have found that in these journeys of transition, when endings are done well, beginnings are much more peaceful." CHANGE. Change is actually a beautiful acronym, a chance to have a new God experience. Thank you for joining our meditation. Have a blessed day. We will start at 11 o'clock. Please join us. Namaste.
You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome.
Hello, everybody. You are wholly welcome. Man, that was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful little new presentation and opening for our service. I missed last week, so in case it was there last week, I didn't get to praise it But anyway, this week, I love it. I love it. It just made me smile from ear to ear watching that. So welcome, everybody. We're delighted to have you. As you know, Center for Spiritual Living is this massively inclusive, open community. We support thinking creatively, and we encourage you to live a deeply spiritual life as we do, and we practice this as part of our regular lives. So today's service, our lineup, as you heard Sue, she was doing the meditation this morning. She's going to join us again for the sacred reading, which is our sacred covenant, which is calling in a new minister. And I will be the host today. And our invocation will be led by our practitioner, Star Starrett. And Marina is behind the scenes. Alan, my man, is doing the music, which first song is The Garden by Eddie Watkins. I love that song. And our speaker, who, if you don't know it, I adore this man. I adore who he is, who he's becoming. This ministry that he's involving is just beautiful. Reverend Elijah Christopher is going to be doing our talk today. So we're going to open up with some music with Alan. Get it going. There's a Garden by Eddie Watkins Jr. Alan, bring it on, my brother.
Good morning, Chris. This is one of my favorite songs that Eddie Watkins Jr. has done.
Me too.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything you've been dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden, that garden is you. Now I'd like to invite Star Starrett to offer our invocation this morning. Good morning, Star.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'd like you to relax right now and breathe. Breathe in the one source that is in all things. This source is the power that moves all things, the power that change is in the air, is from, and that power is within each and every one of us. And right here, right now, that is letting go of all the past, of all the things that we thought were real or gone. And they're no more in our purview, and new things are happening. And with this, new blessings are on the horizon. New and wonderful plans are being formulated. This is the beginning. The winds of change are here, and they are within each and every one of us. So I invite us to sit back and enjoy the show. Enjoy the show that life has to offer, that it is good and very good. And today, I bless each and every one of us that is here, that is willing to put ourselves forward and let go of the past with ease and with comfort and with grace, knowing that all is well within and without. And so, with this beginning, with these changes, with these new opportunities, I invite us to say yes, 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 and let go, and let the good begin, as together we say, and so it is.
So it is. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything you've been dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. It's a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Now I'd like to invite Sue Fulmer. Good morning, Sue, to read our Sacred Covenant.
Hi, Alan. Thank you. What a beautiful day we have to share this wonderful service together. Please join your core council and the search committee in visioning and praying for just the right minister that's on their way to us. Repeat with me our sacred covenant. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. I know that I am one with this life. I know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which include the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose for my new minister is to express God, I therefore know that my new minister reveals wholeness. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which we believe, for it is written by Ernest Holmes, "Let us learn to draw the divine substance down into our own lives, and as freely as it has been given to us, let us give it to others. Thus alone shall we be made whole." As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as growing the center in joy and prosperity. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing the truth about myself. For I live in the presence and law of God. I demonstrate wisdom through a mature understanding of the wholeness of life. I am accountable and willing to take full responsibility for my actions. I participate in and support the nurturance and guidance of the community. I act from wholeness and congruence in thought, word, and action. I walk the talk. Here, embrace your own spiritual truth. I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, knowing that they are revealed in a way that expresses God and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sue. That's wonderful. Spirit wrote this song a couple years ago, and it just keeps popping up and fitting right in a lot of things that happen. So today we're talking about change, and so does this song. There's a path that we know many people take, seeking truth and some things unexplained. Sitting out on a road that is mostly unknown, sometimes can cause trouble and pain. We set out instead, not knowing what's ahead, and wondering what lies around the bend. In faith we know that wherever we go, life's eternal and this road has no end. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Every one thing remains the same. That's Holy Spirit calling our name. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Now we come together and walk along, creating heaven right here at home. We honor the old ways and bless the new. Open our hearts and welcome you. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Only one thing remains the same. That's Holy Spirit calling our name. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Deep inside, we all know that wherever we go, just let God lead us everything true. The slower we go, the sooner we'll know, and life will become breakthrough. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Only one thing remains the same. That's Holy Spirit calling our name. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. I put this chorus up so we can all sing it together. Some people say I don't sing the verses the same way each time. We prove that today. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Only one thing remains the same. That's Holy Spirit calling our name. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Only one thing remains the same. That's Holy Spirit calling our name. Honor the mystery, embrace the change. Honor the mystery, embrace the change.
Yeehaw!
Stay, my friends.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Love you, Alan. Thank you.
Love you too, Chris.
All right. So our month's theme is stepping into the unknown, and our talk today is going to be the winds of change, and we're going to be bringing Elijah Christopher Hayden in. I don't know if any of you have heard the buzzword synthesis fellowship, but stay tuned. It's coming soon. All right, Eli, love to hear what you have to say today. Let's take us away.
Hi, Chris. Thanks.
Ah,
Well, hello, everybody. I'm glad to be back. Let us begin, as always, by taking a few breaths together. So if you will, exhale first and take a deep breath in. And let go. Take another deep breath in. And let go. One more deep breath in. And let go. So I first just want to I have to say thanks to Alan for that song, because discover the mystery and embrace the change. That is honor the mystery and embrace the change. That is the nature of existence, and that's what we're here to talk about today. I want to begin by saying that change for me is probably my favorite thing. And I believe that change is absolutely the only constant in the universe. And especially now, as we take a moment, each of us, to just reflect and think back through the last year, through the last period of time, so much has changed in our world. And is changing yet again, and has always been changing. But really, if we look back at the last year or so, COVID started just over a year ago. That last March, the winds of change came through, and almost everything that we knew shifted. Our entire experience got turned upside down, and a whole world began to unravel, rearrange itself, recreate itself. And I found myself recently saying that 2020 was perhaps one of the best years of my life. And I know that that's probably not the perspective that most people are taking on 2020. But when I look back, 2020 was the year in my own life. 2020 was a year of radical change, of deep transition, and of so many things not falling apart, but falling into place. That there has been so much that I personally have been working on for a long time, many years. I finally finished ministerial school in 2020, and it took me 7 years to get through a program that I had committed to finishing, but had taken me a lot and challenged me and brought me through much churning and almost kind of inner turmoil. And that long process finally completed in 2020. And I made a lot of really big decisions and a lot of life changes and lost some people that I love. But what happened in me over the course of 2020 was a realization that there is great power in transition, that there's a great power in change, that there is a great power in recognizing the shifting, moving, changing nature of things and training ourselves to learn how to move with it, to dance with it, to participate as the change instead of being absorbed by it. You know, much of my spiritual practice comes out of necessity. You know, if you've heard me speak before, I often speak about my lifelong exploration, if you will, of what it's like to be a person who lives with depression. And one of the things that I've learned about depression as I've studied the human brain and the mind in my education and my career has been this understanding that's emerging in neuroscience that depression is actually a symptom of something physical that's happening in the brain. And that something physical is a lack of neuroplasticity or a lack of making new connections, new neurons, new synaptic connections in the brain. That neuroplasticity is about the way that our brain can grow and change and make neurons and make new connections and take one pattern of doing or being, one pattern of thinking, and bring them together and unlock new ways of doing things. And that when we get stuck in a pattern, whether that's a pattern of thought, a pattern of behavior, a pattern in our environment, when we get stuck in a pattern, the brain starts to get fixed. The brain starts to believe that that pattern is rigid and starts to accept it more and more and more. And the longer we live in any particular pattern of being, the harder it is for us to move out of that pattern. Right? Many people have found the pattern and the cycle of addiction that it's incredibly hard when we get rigidly into that experience to actually break out of it. But we also find that, you know, as we've been exploring this conversation in the world in the last year or years really about things like privilege and systemic racism and oppression in our world, that it's disrupted much of the comfortable patterns of doing and being for many of privileged society. Many who we could call privileged have really had to take this disruption and recognize that perhaps the patterns that they've been living in that are so comfortable may not actually be serving the vision of the world that we're seeking, the highest good that we're looking for in the world. You know, and so in my spiritual practice, one of the things that I practice as much as I can is to engage in the nature and the power of change. Because when we can engage in the nature of change intentionally and on purpose, what we do is we engage the brain in forcing itself to make new patterns, to make new connections, to look at things in a new way. You know, one of my silly compulsions is that I am just an avid room rearranger. I rearrange my furniture, I redecorate my walls, I redecorate my space sometimes every couple of weeks, but more often than that, every couple of months, or at least every season. And throughout my life, I have reinvented my entire aesthetic, how I look, how I present myself. I have moved through many different forms of communities and spiritual teachings because I love change. But that thing about just rearranging the furniture in my bedroom or my house, or moving things around in the drawers in the kitchen, think about this. You live in a space, and say you keep scissors in a particular drawer. And every time you go get scissors, you just walk to that drawer and you go get the scissors. And eventually you just know where that is and you always go there and you always walk that same path. But if you rearrange the space, I know when I move that chest of drawers to a different location, the next time I need scissors, I usually end up walking to where the chest used to be. And I'll go, how come the scissors aren't here? And then I remember, oh, right, I rearranged the room. I need to go to the other corner where the scissors are. That stop and redirect, that's how we repattern our mind in all different ways. That when I rearrange the furniture in my room, what I'm doing is I'm forcing myself to think differently, to break an old pattern, to move through my space in a different way. Now, when I was going through my first sort of experiences of therapy many years ago, and wanted to overcome my experience of anxiety. And I had a therapist and she said, okay, every single time you feel yourself starting to move in the direction of a panic attack or in moving in the direction of an obsessive thought that's going to bring you more anxiety, you need to put your hand up in the air and say, stop. And then when you do, physically turn your body and then make a new choice. Think about something else. Turn your attention. When you do that, it's like walking that same path to just automatically go get the scissors, or me automatically going to that experience of anxiety. And then as soon as I realize I'm about to be there, say, wait a minute, this isn't actually where I want to arrive. This isn't actually where I put the scissors. This isn't actually the experience I want to be having. So I need to stop and realize that if I can turn my attention a different way, that I can now go where I put the scissors, or into the new experience of not having anxiety, or moving to the other choice. And that simple practice, that stop and redirect, that moving of an object from one place to another so that I can trick my brain into thinking a little bit differently, that's a practice of engaging neuroplasticity. That's a practice of saying, you know what? Okay, I know that if the brain stagnates, if I sit in old patterns, that those patterns will just become automatic. And that we know that what we think and that the patterns that we believe in and the thoughts that move through our mind affect what we see, that they color what we're able ourselves to perceive. And so if we want to continuously move into higher levels of experience, higher levels of thinking, greater sense of complexity and understanding, then we must engage ourselves in practices that continuously help us shift our patterns, break out of our patterns, so that we can begin to think in different ways. And the great thing about your brain, my brain, our brains, is that the brain is a pattern-making machine. That the brain loves patterns, that's how we perceive the universe, that the brain is just constantly looking for patterns, looking out into the world, measuring what we see against the patterns of information that we have in our mind, in our brain, and then telling us what is out there. And so little simple practices for me, like rearranging my furniture, creates a pattern that then shows up larger and larger and larger and larger in my own thinking. That's why practices like meditation work. It's a simple practice of sitting and becoming still, of centering, of returning our attention inward, of noticing our breath. Well, if one does that every day for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, that little pattern of slowing down, of taking a breath, of noticing of knowing where your center is, that pattern can then show up in other places in our life, and especially in the difficult and challenging moments when we've deepened a pattern of spiritual perspective within ourselves. Those patterns of perception can then show up when they're most needed. You know, I have this image in my mind that I have just been contemplating a lot this week as I've been thinking about this term, this phrase, the winds of change. And so I want to share with you one of the statues from my altar, and it is a statue of Lord Shiva. This comes from the Hindu tradition, and this version of Shiva is called the Nataraj, and he is lost in the dance called the Tandava. And Shiva is the god of destruction, but he is also that which brings newness and creation. And this image of this god dancing, surrounded by a ring of fire, that the story that goes with this mythology is that what you are seeing is this spiritual principle of chaos, of change, of destruction. But what it is God, is the universe itself, lost in the midst of a dance. And in that dance, there is so much power and there is so much creativity that it just disturbs and disrupts and destroys and moves and changes and rearranges everything around it. And all that doesn't serve gets burned up in that ring of fire to become the nutrients and that which is necessary for life and for growth and for newness and for change to emerge. And as I've looked at the last year, and as I look at the world that we're all standing in, living through, moving through, as I look out at the circumstances, I can't help but contemplate this image and just think of the great spirit itself rising up into the world and just moving away in this powerful dance everything that doesn't serve. You know, so many of us, I've heard in conversations, people say, I just wish things could go back to how they were before COVID. I just wish things could go back to normal. I can't wait until things get back to normal. And I gotta say, not me. I'm not interested in things going back to normal. I'm not interested in things going back to how they were. I believe that COVID-19 and all of the disruption that is emerging in our world right now is a gift from God. That everything that is moving around us, that the winds of change are here. And that there is so much that has not been working. There is so many ways of doing and being that have not served humanity, that have not served the planet, that have not served our understanding and our awakening of the truth of who we are and the love that actually lives within us and the connection that is available between us as human beings and life. And I believe that this great disruption that has risen up to swallow our whole experience, that this thing is here to bring us to something new. And my hope, my deep prayer, as I have been part of Centers for Spiritual Living for many, many years now, and have heard this idea that we are here to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence for the purpose of awakening a world that works for everyone. That I am committed to being part of the awakening of humanity to its spiritual magnificence and of being part of the emergence of a world that works for everyone. But that's going to take me recognizing the parts of the world that doesn't work, of recognizing what needs to be destroyed, what parts of our history don't deserve a future, what part of our choices and our activity on this planet need to be rearranged and sent away so that we can create the space to come up with new ideas, to put pieces together that we haven't thought of before. So many of us live in the bubble of our own thinking, of our own perspective. And the internet and social media has really allowed us to become incredibly insular and to choose which pattern we want to which pattern of thinking we want to surround ourselves with, and then just choose to only see that. And when we're not willing to look outside of our own perspective, when we're not willing to look at the other ideas, when we're not willing to recognize that change is coming and participate with it, we find ourselves in a recipe for disaster. And I believe that so much of what we're seeing in the world right now, especially in the United States, especially in our nation, in our communities, that the separation of mind in our politics, in so many avenues and areas of our civil society, so much of the discord that we are experiencing is because we are living in rapidly changing times. And that change is disturbing, and that change is uncomfortable, and that change is scary. And people in general are afraid of change. And so when we drop into fear, our mind is hijacked, our perspective is hijacked, and we're unable to see things clearly. And that fear is one of those things that holds the brain in a pattern rigidly and doesn't allow it to break out into other ways of thinking. And so we have to choose not to be afraid of fear. We have to choose to embrace that deep energy and that fire that can be awakened within us when we feel the disturbance and the disruption in our lives. I actually believe that creation loves chaos. Creation loves the fire and the passion of the energy that lives within us when we are activated. I truly believe that it is our emotional self that creates much more than our thinking mind. But our thinking mind is the vehicle that can channel those emotions into and through the body. And so all of our spiritual practice, all of our practices of mind are about cultivating an awareness so that we can choose to be the people who continuously choose new perspective, choose higher ways of doing and being, choose to be able to move with the change, roll with the punches, if you will. And when we're excited about change, when we want to participate in shift, there is great energy available to us. And in these changing times, in the ever-shifting nature of life as it surrounds us, I want to invite each one of us to embrace the idea that change is a quality of God, that change is part of the nature of the universe, and that within change there is incredible power. And that we must activate our minds through practices that engage our neuroplasticity, that engage our spiritual awakening, and tune our brains to be instruments that can hone our emotions so that we do not find ourselves locked in new patterns, but we become the ones who are able to see new patterns and create new patterns. Because patterns of thinking, patterns of behavior, patterns of doing and being, these are actually what create our world. And it all begins with our thought, with how the brain and body interact with the world around us and what we see coming, what we think is happening. And so I want to invite us, my friends, to realize that even though change might be scary, and even though we are definitely moving into a world that seems to be more and more uncertain, and that there is so much upheaval, so much shift, and so much change, and it's so hard to plan for a future that we can't see or understand. But if we can recognize that in our fear there is power, that in the unknown there is possibility, and that if we are willing to engage that which is awakening in us, disturbed in us, moved in us, passionately on fire within us, that there is actually a doorway in front of us that can lead us to the greatest possibility. And that if we are willing to let go of what we know and not be as rigid in our comfort, that there is a world that can open up to us. And let us remember that change is the absolute nature of creation, that everything is always changing. And so, my friends, as we move into a time of contemplation, into this closing prayer, I want to attempt to share a short song with you, and I'm hoping that my microphone works well enough for me to sing. And so if you will, I invite you just to close your eyes as I'm going to sing sort of an affirmation to you, and then we will move into a moment of prayer. And so if you will, take a deep breath in. And contemplate these words. Where there's fear, there is power. Passion is the healer. Desire cracks open the gate. When you're ready, it'll take you through. And nothing lasts forever. Time is the destroyer. The wheel turns again and again. Watch out, it'll take you through. And nothing dies forever. Nature is the renewer. The wheel turns again and again. When you're ready, it'll take you through. One more time. Where there's fear, there is power. Passion is the healer. Desire cracks open the gate. When you're ready, it'll take you through. And nothing lasts forever. Time is the destroyer. The wheel turns again and again. Watch out, it'll take you through. And nothing dies forever. Nature is the renewer. The wheel turns again and again. When you're ready, it'll take you through. And so take a deep breath. And with me, my friends, just be in the knowingness that there is indeed one seamless, infinite presence that is intimately and intricately interwoven into every element, into every particle, into every interaction, that all throughout the entirety of the universe, there is only one thing happening, and that thing is what I call God. And in that oneness, in that infinite isness, its nature is change, is the constant shifting, ebbing, flowing, moving tides of life, of breath, of evolution, of unfolding consciousness and creation. Let us realize, my friends, each one of us, that that change, that power, that presence, that infinite beingness is who and what we are. It is moving through our veins. It is breathing us. It is animating our minds, seeing through our eyes, and choosing as us in every moment. That the very nature of nature and the most consistent thing in all the universe is change. That everything is changing, always has been, always will be. And if we are willing to step into that change, to be the place where it is consciously happening, then we be the place where the process wakes up. And so let each one of us be the power and the presence of the evolution of the universe, awake to its own unfoldment. And in that, participate in the awakening of humanity to its spiritual magnificence and the designing of a pattern of perspective and perception that brings about a world of thriving for everyone and for all of life. And so it is for this potential, for this shift, for this possibility that I express and expect the celebration and gratitude of life. And so let us remember that there is indeed a power for good in this universe that is greater than we are, and let us live a life in service to it and allow it to move through us and be everything that we do, everything that we are in every moment. And so let us just breathe and remember that we are breathed by God. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Eli.
Thank
Man,
you.
we are so soul brothers for sure. I mean, the moving, I notice your changes. Like I noticed your backdrop. It's changed just a little. And every time I see you, it changes just a little bit. And it's like, that's all set up behind you. It's fantastic. But anyway.
Thank you.
You look good. Loved your talk. It was powerful. It's me. It's worth listening to again. And just thank you again. I love you.
Thank you. Always blessed to be here.
Okay. All righty, everybody. It's time for our announcements. And we will start off with the first announcement, which is did you see in the Friday's newsletter that we have 2 applicants for a senior minister position? So we are going to keep you posted. Just stay tuned. But we do have 2 applicants that came in this week. So hold on. We'll let you know. And then the next slide is spread the love. And this is our giving part. We have a new feature. If you see that little scan me circle, the blue circle with all the little dots in it and whatnot, if you take your cell phone and turn on your camera and bring it into focus, it'll send you to the link where you can actually donate to our center. That is not the only way to give. You can go the old-fashioned way by going online to Breeze or PayPal, and those links are at CSLSG.org. So, and you can also do the mail check to Centers for Spiritual Living St. George, P.O. Box 3132, St. George 84771. But, we're keeping things going. Soon enough, we will have a new center, a new minister, and things will resume the way they were-ish, not the same. I agree with Eli. Our book club is The Untethered Soul. Unfortunately, I missed a couple, but I love that book. It was life-changing for me. We read it in my practice studies. It's a fantastic book. Sue Fulmer runs the group. She brings questions and she sends emails, and the conversation is just very, very deep. You don't want to miss it. It's Tuesdays from 6 to 7 p.m. The Zoom link it will be sent out, or you can find it on our website. And our community conversation on Zoom today after service. What time is it now? I can't see on my computer. It just comes up on the hour following service, which is noon at our time. If you're somewhere else, it's Mountain Time. You can also find the Zoom link in the newsletter, the Friday reminder, and on our website. So you just do click on the access meeting list, and you'll find our. And the next slide is around our community care circle. We do have a community care circle, and they provide compassionate support, and they do calls, cards, and prayer. If you are or a family member or just someone you know that could just use a little support from people, it's not really Center for Spiritual Living-ish. It's just support. It's a community care circle, and they just support people in their needs. Also, our practitioners are always available, and you can contact us at prayer@CSL St. George or call us at the 435-893-6702 and leave a message, and someone will get back with you. We love to offer prayer and let us be there for you in support. Next Sunday is going to be April 18th, which Joe is usually our first Sunday, and Elijah's our second Sunday, but they kind of got switched around. Joe Kovach is going to be speaking, and then the following week is Jafan Seeley. I don't know those of you who saw him speak before. Fantastic speaker, young man, beautiful, stepping up, stepping out. That's going to be on April 11th, so definitely join us then. And now it's time for our closing affirmation. You'll see our little faces pop up one at a time. There we go. There's Star. There's Sue, there's Eli, there's Alan, and there is Marina. We are all here. So we invite you at home to read along, read out loud, and just sort of get into this. And I'll start with the first line, which says, "Something wonderful is happening through me right now."
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind, life is in my body, and life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you,
Bye.
And thank you.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Elisha.
Join us on the Zoom meeting. We'd love to
Happy
have you.
Sunday.